Okay, so what you're looking at here is actually some data that I had from a few years ago when I taught this class before that I did in Excel. I've uploaded it into Google Drive so that I can use Google Sheets. I think that Google Sheets will be better for you guys because I know that everybody can get Google Sheets. As long as you have a Gmail account, you can get Google Drive, and you should know how to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ignore what's here, and I'm going to go back to some stuff that I created just for this video. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. And we're going to go to our chart, or to our data here. And the way that I have it set up is the protein concentration in micrograms per mil is here, and the absorbance is here. And you'll notice that there's an unknown down here, and I'll talk about how to do that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select this data, okay? And I'm going to go under Insert, Chart. Don't worry about what it recommends. Go under Chart Types, scroll down, and in this particular case it selected the correct one, which is Scatter. But usually it may not select the correct one, so I want you to get used to the idea of toggling to Chart Types. And I also want you to look at what is on the y-axis and what is on the x-axis. So your protein concentration should be on the x, and your absorbance should be on the y. If they are not, you need to flip around your data, or you need to hit switch rows and columns, okay? All right, so it gets more confusing if you don't set it up properly, so my recommendation is to set it up just the way that I showed you how to do here. Then you're going to go under Customization. Under Customization, you can do a lot of things. The first thing that you can do is actually give it a title. Okay, in this case, I'm going to call it Protein Standard Curve. Then you're going to keep scrolling down, and you will notice that you have both of your axis titles already, your x-axis and your y-axis, so you don't have to do anything with that. And in fact, you're going to keep scrolling down until you get to Series, and you'll see that absorbance is your series. And what I am going to do is I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to give it a trend line. You're going to select a linear trend line. After you select a linear trend line, you're going to go ahead under Custom, and you're going to hit Use Equation. I want the y equals mx plus b equation that I'm going to use later on to calculate. You can also select Show R Squared, because that's actually going to tell you how accurate this line is. The closer this number is to 1, the better that data fits an actual line. Go ahead and hit Insert. By the way, if your absorbance starts to saturate, you will not get a good line here, and you might want to take out those upper data points, and I'll talk about that if we get data like that. Hit Insert for now. Okay, you now have a graph which has your best fit line, and the equation is right here. You can also format it a little bit such that you can see your equation a little better. Alright, so I just kind of dragged the actual chart over so that I can see my equation better. And then we can copy it. And one of the things I want to show you how to do is actually make folders and things in Google Drive. So I'm going to go back to here because I actually made one already, but I'm going to show you how to do this. If you go under My Drive, you can actually set up a new folder. Okay, you're going to give your folder whatever name you want. In my case, I made it Bio 1500. For you guys, that would be a good name to call it. And then you double click on that. All right, it's going to open up. Yours is going to have nothing in it. And then you're going to go under New, and you can make new Google Docs. You can make new Google Sheets. So when you do these assignments, the standard curve assignment and the subsequent enzymes assignment, you will set up a Google Sheet and a Google Doc. Okay? The Google Sheet will allow you to do the calculations and also plot graphs. The Google Docs will allow you to use something very similar to Word in order to format your lab that you can then turn into me for points. Okay, so I've already made both of these documents just by going File, New Google Doc, File, New Google Sheet. Give it a name, okay? And so what I'm going to open right now is actually the Protein Standard Curve one that I had already created. Put a few spaces at the top. I'm going to go ahead and delete this right now, and I'm going to put a new one in. Okay, and in order to do that, go back to your Google Sheet, Click on the graph and you'll see that in the upper right corner there's a little arrow that drops down. You go under Copy Chart. Okay, it is now copied. Then you're going to go back into your document and you're going to go Paste. And it's going to ask, do you want to link it? And you say yes. Okay, it is now in there. All right, that's your graph. Now, in order to calculate an unknown, what you want to do is to calculate what the x value is. And the reason I say that is because what we have currently is the unknown absorbance, which is 0.16. So I'm going to go back here and show you that the unknown is 0.16. And then if you go back to this thing, you can see that 0.16 is actually equal to the y value because absorbance is the y. So we want to solve for x, which is our protein concentration, because we don't know the concentration of protein in our unknown sample. So in order to do that, we have to use our equation that was given up here. I have typed it here. In order to convert that to numbers that actually would make sense to you, remember that 2.096 e to the minus 3 means times 10 to the minus 3. So we got to add a bunch of decimal places. If you actually convert this number to a number that has the zeros in it, you would add it such that it's 1, 2, 3 numbers to get to the 2. So you have to add 2 zeros to the right of that decimal point in order to get times 10 to the minus 3. Okay, so you would count 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in this case I've rounded it up a little bit because 2.096 is pretty darn close to 2.1 times 10 to the minus 3. So I put that number in there, and then I have my y-intercept is actually 0.0089. It's very close to 0. Okay, so in order to figure out what my x concentration is, I have to do a little bit of algebra. And that algebra involves subtracting 0.0089 both times from both sides. And when I do that, okay, I then get y minus 0.0089 equals 0.021x. But I don't want the 0.021x on that side either, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by that number. Again, do the same thing on both sides. And when I do that, I get my y minus 0.0089 divided by 0.0021 equals x. I can now plug in my number for y and solve using my calculator. And what you will realize is that you get 71.95 micrograms per mil. You should do this on your own and make sure that you can get this number. You will do this as part of the first of 2 labs that we will use these graphs in. That first lab is called spectrophotometry, and you will have to do a protein standard curve. All right, so going back, I want to do a second graph on this same video, and that second graph is going to be on data to optimize the concentration of enzyme. So if I go down here, I can see that if I optimize the concentration of enzyme, I'm going to grab this data that I have here, okay, which has time and then 0.5 mil, 1 mil, and 2 mil, and that's going to be the data I'm going to use now. I'm then going to go up under Insert and hit Chart. Notice how it gives me a really goofy looking chart. It's not the chart I want. So instead I'm going to scroll down the scatter plot under Chart Types, and then I'm going to go to Customization. In Customization, it will allow me to select a title and all of these other things. So in this case, I'm going to put standardization of turnip peroxidase. Okay, and in your case, it will be potato peroxidase, but it's pretty darn close. So we're going to scroll down, and you'll notice that you have a horizontal title of time in seconds, which is what you want, but you do not have a vertical title. So we're going to select left vertical, and we're going to type in absorbance here. Okay, and you will now see it appear. We're also going to keep scrolling down until we get to series. And if I select series, I can see that I actually have 3 different options under series, 0.5 mil, 1 mil, and 2 mil. And that's important because then I can set up each of these separate. And what I am going to tell you is that if you print out this assignment and turn it in to me, but you leave these all as circles, I will not be able to tell the difference, because if you don't print it out in color, it will not print out in color. So instead, what I want you to do to play with these is change the shape of the symbol. And I'm not going to change it for the first one because I can leave that one as circles, but I'm going to change it for the subsequent ones. The first thing I want to do is add a trend line. So hit linear and then scroll down, and again I want to include that equation on my legend. I'm going to go back up to the series button again, and this time I'm going to select the 1 ml extract. Scrolling down in the 1 ml extract, I can change the point shape. This time I'm going to change it to triangle. Okay? I can then select my trend line as linear, and I can select my label as use equation. Okay? I'm going to do this a third time. I'm going to go back up to extracts in series, and I'm going to select the 2 ml extract, and this time I'm going to set up square. Again, I'm going to make sure to include a linear trend line with the equation. And then you can hit select or insert. Okay? I can now drag my graph around. Okay? I'm going to move it up a little bit. Okay? And I can also drag this to the right, move and resize, and just drag it over a little bit such that I can see my equations a little better. Okay? And then I'm going to copy it. So if I go over here and I hit copy chart, I can go back to my document, the one that I was working on earlier. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and right below my calculations for the standard curve, I'm going to paste it in. I can either use the mouse, right click and hit paste, or I can just go Control V and then hit paste. All right? And I now have my second graph in here. Okay? And again, you can type around it, and this document is very similar to a Word document. In fact, you can download it as a Word document, and you can type in whatever you like in order to supplement it. In fact, one of the things that you could do is download my Word document, or upload my Word document into your Google Drive, and then you can type right into it and copy in your curves. Okay? That's it for this video. The next stuff will be on a separate video.